What's up, cool people? I'm Matt Conroy. Welcome back to my vlog. And this is kind of almost a precursor to some of the upcoming videos in a sense. But it's also its own kind of self-contained video, so pardon me if this gets a little bit confusing. But today I'm going to be focusing on just the general concept of language and how kind of confusing it is. Especially for somebody in a position like me that's dealing with students from other countries that are speaking like Chinese or Korean or French or Serbian. Yes, those are all actually examples of languages that students speak around the school where I work. And it kind of makes you think a little bit sometimes, or at least it makes me think about, like, just the meaning of language itself and what language even is. Because if you think about it, language really just comes down to a combination of sounds that we just kind of attribute some sort of meaning to. It's not really something that is like a totally concrete thing. And actually, meanings of words have changed over the years. I actually went so far as to look up a dictionary definition, not just dictionary.com. That's like the basically Google search of dictionary definitions. I went to like an online version of Webster's dictionary. So here's a screenshot of the webpage that I went to look up the definition of language. I'm going to be focusing specifically on definition number 1, part B, item 2, I guess you'd call it, where it says language is a systematic means of communicating ideas or feelings by the use of conventionalized signs, sounds, gestures, or marks having understood meanings. This is the definition of language that I'm going to be working with for this video. So, like, this is why, especially when it gets into the signs and gestures and things like that, that's why we can have something called body language, where we can even just gesture in a certain way and it means something. Like, I know I tend to hand gesture quite a lot. That's just because I don't know why I do that. I just do. But like, if I were to generally, be talking to somebody and they're asking how it's going and I just do this, then that it's generally assumed that that means I'm okay. I mean, this could mean okay, or there's even a mixture of things like that. And similarly to how different gestures can have the same meaning, or the same gesture can have different meanings to different people, words can do the same. And so with some of the upcoming videos that I'm going to put out there, I'm going to be getting really kind of super picky and choosy with the language and words that I use for some of it. Because I think, because language is really just a product of what we make it, things have changed over time, where some words that used to have slightly different meanings now pretty much mean the same thing, and vice versa, and there's just all sorts of stuff, and we've been coming up with all sorts of new words, meaning just humanity in general. Like, I'll give you an example. Nowadays you'll hear a lot of teens and younger people talk about stuff being lit, like, that's pretty much the new, oh, dude, that's so cool. But instead it's like, oh, dude, that is lit. Yeah, that's kind of the new cool in a sense. Whereas, used to be somebody who was basically, for lack of a better way to put it, drugged up. Somebody who was like high or stoned or one of those kind of things, where that they had a few too many puffs of something, basically. That was what lit used to mean, other than just the light kind of thing. But now it's taken on a whole new meaning, where it's basically the new cool. It's a little bit more detailed than that if you really want to get into it, because now, it's not quite just something is cool. It's like, it's exciting. There's a certain energy to it for it to be lit. But in any case, it just further proving the point of how language is really confusing. And I could break it down even further and get into the specific, like, why in the world do these, even certain letters, make these particular sounds and all that kind of stuff. It's all sorts of confusing if you really, like, the more time that you spend thinking about language and how it really works, the more confusing it gets. Other than if you just boil it down to, well, we essentially are just assigning some arbitrary meaning to a collection of symbols. Yeah, and again, I will add, it's ultra confusing when you're dealing with languages from other countries and that kind of stuff, because they have all sorts of other symbols and sounds and meanings, and just, yeah. That is not an excuse to go out and start using cuss words. Really, it's all about the assumed meaning of a word that gives it its significance. So if you're using a word that is offensive to people, it's because of the sheer definition of language and that assumed meaning that it has that makes it a bad word in the first place. So, now I'm going to bring a little bit of scripture into this, come to think of it, because me being Christian and all that, I can't help myself from doing that sometimes. Where it talks about not putting a stumbling block in front of other people. Don't be doing that with your words either. Don't be getting on somebody's nerves unnecessarily just because you can't think of a better word for something. There are so many words just in the English language, never mind other languages. Point being, there are way too many words out there for you to limit yourself just to words that offend people. So, like I said, there's going to be a couple of videos coming up where I'm going to get real picky and specific with my wording and how I define certain terms and that kind of stuff. I figured I would use this as a precursor to those. I guess that's going to do it for this time around. Like and share if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to see more of my videos as I post them. And of course, if you're looking forward to the upcoming videos where I'm really getting into these little details of particular words and that kind of stuff. I don't know how many people out there are like that, where they really like getting into the finer details of words and phrasing and how that all comes together. But occasionally I get like that, and this is one of those times. So, if you're one of those people, keep a lookout for those other videos coming up in the next couple of weeks. Otherwise, I hope you're all doing well, and I will see you in the next video, whether that's next week or some other time. Until then, see you later.